friends, it's Ray. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today's video features the Pink and Main January 21 card kit. And with the kit, I am going to be using multiple sketches. One sketch from Call Me Crafty Al's Sheetload of Cards, the February 21 sketch. I'm going to use Paper Roses Scribbles die, a Sunburst die, Elizabeth Crafts Fishtail dies, some Gina K foils, and some border dies to make 12 cards today. Let's start crafting. I have lined up my die in my MISTI and placed my stamp within the die so that I get that lined up just the way I want it. Prepped my panel or my cardstock for heat embossing. I stamped my sentiment using VersaFine Onyx Black ink. This first card is an A2 card. I am using the February 21 Sheetload of Cards by Crafty Al. I will link that below so that you get all of the measurements, the specs. I am staying true to those measurements. And here am matting my layers together. I am carefully mounting this panel. And then we'll pull off my double-sided tape once the panel is centered. Next, I'm layering my smallest panel onto my larger matted panel. I've die cut my sentiment and also use that same sentiment die to cut out a solid panel, which I've cut in half, and I'm going to mount that the ends to either side of the sentiment shape to add some color and texture there. I am using craft tacky glue, and we'll do the exact same thing to the bottom of that sentiment. And here I am affixing the rest of the layers to the card, and then I have popped up my sentiment on foam squares and will add that to the top right portion of the card. The kit came with glitter enamel dots, and I am going to use 3 of those to accent this card. And that's it for this card. Love the way it turned out. Card number 2 is also inspired by the Crafty Al Sheetload, but it is a Slimline card. And here I am going to affix 2 panels together on the back side with regular tape. I add a 1/4 inch double-sided tape to the front just to cover both the seam on either side, and then I will add some pieces on either side of the back of that same double-sided tape. I am going to use those as handles. I'm going to use my bone folder to really burnish that double-sided tape, and then I'm going to remove the release paper. I'm going to carefully lay that foil on the double-sided tape and burnish that with my bone folder. I am using Sweet Mango by Gina K Designs. And then I'm going to carefully peel that off, and you can see that I didn't burnish as well on the right, so I left my paper on, went back, burnished more with the bone folder. I turned my panel over, and I've removed the release paper from that double-sided tape on that side and using those as handles and burnishing those down. And then voila, I have a seamless, um, really pretty panel for my Slimline card. I trimmed it down uh, so that it is 7 and 3/4 long by 3. And now I'm mounting this to my lavender panel. Lovely. I've also affixed my lavender with white dots cardstock to the front panel. And now I'm preparing my sentiment, which I have heat embossed on white cardstock using Versa Fine Onyx Black ink. I'm using some of the pink enamel glitter dots to add some sparkle and shine. I mounted this panel to a card base. Card number 3 has a similar base layout as card number 2, and I'm using foil, the same foil technique, to make a seamless, pretty border on this panel. And I'm doing it the exact same way as card number 2. I've cut a kiwi lime panel, and that's 3.5 by 8.25, and mounted my focal panel on that panel, and have cut 3 fishtail dies, 1 from a solid and 2 from pattern papers, and will affix those to the front panel. I've mounted my sentiment on foam squares and heat embossed that with clear embossing powder and black ink, and I'm going to go ahead and affix my panel directly to my cardstock and then place my sentiment on my panel. And then I will use some glitter enamel dots to add a little more interest, sparkle to this card. Card number 4 is an A2 card using Mojo Monday's sketch number 552. I'm placing my cardstock cuts onto my panel and have picked out a pattern paper that has purples, oranges, lavender as the main colors, and going with that color scheme. So here I'm going to bring in one of the Paper Roses die cut scribbles, circle scribbles, and bringing that in pink to bring out the pink that is in the flowers. So I love that combination. And here I am affixing a sentiment strip that I've cut out with a fishtail banner die. And I've already off screen mounted the hello die 3 times, cut that out 3 times, mounted that, and then mounted it onto the shadow die that's lavender. So we've got an orange and a lavender mix in the hello cutout. I'm using my adhesive remover to remove some adhesive. I'm adding some sequins from the sequin pack that came with the kit, and that finishes this card. Card number 5 is also a slimline card, and I am using Distress Oxide picked raspberry to kind of go around the edges of my sentiment and placing that on a fishtail banner die. And then I'm going to work on my focal panel, which happens to be 3 different fishtail banner dies, and then a green panel for the bottom. And all of these pattern papers are from the kit. And so I'm just affixing my banners or staggering them and then leaving a white border on either side. And I've cut out 3 of the scribbles, scribble dies by Paper Roses, and I used my multi-matte medium glue to affix all of my scribbles together. I intertwined them to create interest and used 3 different colors. Then I've affixed my sentiment strip. I do need a little sparkle on this front panel, so I'm going to bring in some of the green glitter enamel dots that came in the kit. Lovely, lovely. Lots of texture and color going on in this card. Tell me in the comments, what type of backgrounds do you enjoy making? I'll be back soon with part 2 of this pink and Maine kit. Loving all the pattern paper. Thank you so much for joining me today. Until next time, good day, friends.